Well, hi everybody, it's Monty, it's Shadle Park, it's the geometry class, and here we are in Mathia. Alright, so we just went through similarity, scale factor, and then we did this thing on partitioning segments, pieces of the whole. Okay, well now we're ready for trigonometry, Sohcahtoa. Let's get started. Alright, so we have the unit circle, angles, and the Pythagorean theorem. Let's get started. Alright, similar triangles. We already discussed if it's a triangle in a triangle, they are similar. And we have these proportions. Okay? So now we want to do this thing called Sohcahtoa, the sine of a function. Sine. Sine is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay, so if we're looking at sine A, this angle, the relationship, is the opposite side over the hypotenuse. So we've got some vocabulary, don't we? Okay, so the reference angle is P. P. P is the opposite over the hypotenuse. Okay. Alright, so just type those two values in, and then the sine is a relationship. So 51.96 divided by 60, and it's just a percentage. Whoa, a percentage. The length of QR is what percent of the hypotenuse? 86%. Okay, so 86.6%. Okay, that's all we're doing. Over and over and over. Whoop, more. Oh, okay, there we go. What did I do? Oh. I was supposed to click that? My bad. My bad. My bad. Okay, now, exploring the sine and the cosine. Okay, so we have the sine, the opposite over the adjacent, and the cosine, opposite over hypotenuse, and the cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Angle P is 18 degrees. So the cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Okay? And 114.13 divided by 120. And we have a percent. And it's 95.1% of the other one. So this length is 95% of that length. Okay? Alright, so now we have this thing called the unit circle. Unit circle. Cosine is the measure of the horizontal length, sine is the measure of the vertical length. Okay? So, cosine is the x, sine is the y. Okay? Alright, so now we investigate. Okay? Alright, so use the Explorer tool to estimate the cosine of 18 degrees. So 18, and we want the cosine. So 18, there we go. So 18 degrees. Now we want the cosine. Cosine is the x. Cosine is the x value. So it's real high, isn't it? Real big. Let's try that one. Yeah, good. Okay, use the Explorer tool, the sine of 40. So we go 40, and sine is the y values. Okay, sine is y. Well, that's about 0.8. Yeah, the cosine and the sine. 40. 40? Yeah, 45, 45. 70%. I got lucky. Cosine is 70. 70. That's the x value. The x is not very much, less than half, like 0.4. Okay, and the sine is real big, like 0.8. Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, way up there. Okay. For each, enter sine of 0. So 0 is the y value. Okay, there is no y. And cosine is 1. It's the whole thing. 90 degrees. There is no x, but there's all y. Okay? Alright. Okay, now tangent. Tangent is the opposite over the adjacent. Okay, so we're introducing unit circle. We're introducing Sohcahtoa. Okay? Alright. Sohcahtoa. So the tangent, 45, 45. Okay. The tangent of P what? Oh, which represents, I did that wrong. Okay. Alright, so 100 opposite over adjacent. So it's 1. Read the words, the adjacent, next to. Okay, so now use the Explorer tool, the tangent of 56 degrees. So if we put in a 56, it's just a little past halfway. So really, opposite over adjacent. Alright, so tangent is 34 degrees. 34, the opposite, so about 0.6. Yeah, okay, so now 0. If we put a 0, there is nothing. There is no opposite. 45, everything's even, so it has to be 1. And then when we put in 90, it's straight up and down. Well, it's all opposite divided by 0. So that's why it's undefined. Okay, so now we have lots of new things going on here, right? We've got this unit circle, we have these triangles, and we have these relationships. Okay, all right. So now we have all three, right? Okay, now, kid is flying, the attached kite is a 100-foot string, 45, estimate the measure of the angle formed by the string and the ground. Okay, so here we have the opposite over the hypotenuse, so sine, okay? Alright, so now, you know the length of the hypotenuse, so you can use the sine function, and the sine function will be 45 over 100, 45 degrees. Use the Explorer tool to estimate 45 degrees. 45 degrees. No, 0.45. So 30. Yeah. Okay. Let's use the Explorer tool. The angle, the cosine function formed by the kite is approximately, so the cosine, 45. So 25 to 30. 30 cosine would be a lot, wouldn't it? Yeah, the other end, no? Yeah. which means the horizontal length is about 90% of the hypotenuse. So the horizontal distance from Jerome to the kite is 90% of, so 90 feet. Okay. Alright, so now, fade in degrees, explore. Okay, so now what are we flying? We got a boat. You park your boat at the end of a 20-foot dock. You tie the boat opposite with a 35-foot rope. 20-foot dock, 35 rope. The boat drifts downstream until the rope is extended as far as it will go. What is the angle formed by the rope? So now we're going to use the cosine as the adjacent over the hypotenuse. The adjacent over the hypotenuse. Okay? So let's turn this on so that we have some stuff to work with. You know that the side length and the hypotenuse, so you can use the cosine ratio, and that's 20 over 35. 20/35, and 20 over 35, 20 over 35, 60, 55 degrees. The sine tool. Now let's explore the sine of that function, the opposite over the hypotenuse, about 0.7. Yeah, which means it's 80% of the 35. 80% of 35. 80% of 35. 28. Cool. Okay, so I think we should stop here. 12 minutes, introduction to Sohcahtoa. Okay?